So the product Companion, how it works. So it's a system. There are three parts to the system. So the first part of the system is what we call a companion app, which sits on the cell phone, and it takes two broad streams of data. One is voice, which is where the patient or the user would talk to the phone and record something that we call an audio diary. So that's actively collected voice. And the other pieces of information are passively collected cell phone metadata. So once the app collects those two pieces of information, it goes to the second part of the product, which is what we call the Companion AI, which is in the cloud. So the Companion AI uses our AI-based patented algorithms to convert the two data streams that we talked about, and converts them into four very specific measures of behavioral health symptoms. And those are mood, physical isolation, social isolation, and fatigue. And those are straight from DSM, which is what clinicians are qualitatively trying to evaluate. So we are having quantitatively evaluating and measuring those symptoms, and not only providing scores on the symptoms, but also providing trends of how those scores have been changing over time. And these pieces of information goes to the third part of the system, which is a Companion dashboard, where clinicians can see those pieces of information. And the same information also goes back to the app, so that way the patient can see the same data. So what is happening is, end of the day, you're having a closed loop of information. And as a result of this, there's a higher engagement, there's greater visibility on a continuous, repeatable and reproducible manner of changes in symptoms of behavioral health of the patient. So that way the clinicians can detect them early and do something about it. Both of them. So it looks at call log, text log, and geolocation. So basically a classic cell phone metadata. And the key point to be noted is looking at patterns. So for example, in the voice bit, it's non-word. So it's looking at speech patterns versus the words spoken themselves, which makes it extremely powerful, which makes it very difficult to game, and makes it language agnostic. And similarly on the metadata, it's looking for patterns on the frequency, diversity, etc., etc. Basically classic usage patterns, which is what we call also as behavioral biomarkers. And the voice bit, we call them acoustic biomarkers. So we're taking these acoustic biomarkers and behavioral biomarkers, just like what happens in any other clinical intervention today, or any other problems, like we were talking about diabetes, right? So we're taking those measures and then converting them into a vital sign for behavioral health, which is what Companion does, which is converts to those four measures that we talked about: physical isolation, social isolation, mood, and fatigue. Yeah. So the way the clinician, how does the clinician use this? So we have used the product in several collaborative care settings, where a social worker or a licensed behavioral health counselor would look at the dashboard. And the dashboard, the scores are color coded, so they're able to see the individual scores across those four measures that I talked about. And they can also see the changes, so they can see trend lines of how things are changing. So based on a combination of the scores and the changes based on the trend lines, the clinicians make their clinical judgment as to at what point should they engage with the patient. So in several collaborative care settings, they do some collaborative care settings. They do a daily huddle, where a care manager, the PCP and the behavioral health specialist would get together and look at scores. In some places they do it weekly. So it all depends on the current workflow. So the key point there is, what we've done in Companion is it's just been designed to fit in the current workflow without creating additional work, additional burden for the already overstretched resources that are there in healthcare.